Hey, what's up guys? It's Jake aka Tag, and today we have the #1 log bait player in the entire world ready to play some live ladder for us. Kid is here and we're about to go jump straight into some matches and see if he can push up to #1 in the world. Let's see how high he gets. So we got right into our very first game against Danny Gamer, who is rocking a Hog Rider and an Ice Spirit deck. So we immediately assume that this guy is going to be rocking 2.9 or a Executioner Cycle, and he shows his hand. And he's going to be rocking a Executioner Cycle. I said 2.9, I meant 2.6 Hog Rider. What am I saying, guys? And we see a Tornado and a Log and a very fast cycle from our opponent. So this matchup is going to be pretty brutal. Assuming that Kid doesn't get damage in single elixir, I don't know how you win this. Obviously, the Inferno Tower is not in card cycle there, so he had to rock it. That is definitely going to be a good play because the Hog Rider plus the Goblins is going to be 6 elixir, so it's fine to rocket that and prevent damage and also get an even elixir trait there. But what we were talking about before is our opponent, if he gets one Hog Rider through in single elixir and is able to outcycle the Inferno Tower and you don't get that rocket value, then you could maybe get yourself into a situation where you're never ever going to get a log bait Goblin Barrel on top of the tower because he's got 2 defensive spells, and then you guys already know that they're able to rocket cycle with that extra Hog Rider damage that they got at the start. So preliminary damage that we're going to be getting in this matchup is going to be Princess Chip damage. That's what you guys are going to see. Kid knows that very difficult to get a Goblin Barrel through that. Not going to happen against someone that's top 10 in the world right now with a Hog Rider Executioner fast cycle deck with 2 small spells. So we see Princesses dropped at the river in almost every situation possible. He's going to be splitting a Goblin Gang to not give log value on either side. And then he's going to be trying to cycle back to a Princess at the river. Notice how he's cycling all of these cards, and his opponent is going to have to log or tornado that. He's going to drop a log. Unfortunately, he drops it off to the side, and he's able to hit everything. If they have a Bard Barrel, sometimes they're going to miss one of the Goblins when you drop it in that spot. So if you guys are dropping a little bit off to the side because Bard Barrel's distance doesn't cover as far as it used to, you can definitely get extra damage. So we see another log. So he's literally going to be trying to Ice Spirit, Log, and Princess of the River out his opponent here. He's going to be dropping some shifty and tricky barrels off to the side, may be able to get some chip damage there. And notice where he drops the Princess, how far he dropped it back. Perfectly calculated. It did not hit the Princess. He's timing these Goblin Barrels to perfection, knowing that he can just get away with his Princess dropped there, not taking any damage. I was a little bit worried, but, you know, Kid's like, you know, whatever, man. I got this down to a science, doesn't matter. And he's consistently cycling Princesses here. He's going in for Goblin Barrels. So this deck, as weird as it sounds, when your opponent has multiple counters to your Goblin Barrel, it's not a Goblin Barrel cycle deck anymore. It's literally just cycling logs and then eventually getting your opponent down into chip value with Ice Spirit and Princesses where you can rocket cycle. The Goblin Gang is actually going to be pretty useful in this situation, consistently splitting it. And then he was able to get a little bit of chip damage from the right-hand side because his opponent was preoccupied from the other transaction. Goblin Gang's going to be able to shut down this Executioner. Executioner is super flimsy now. It doesn't really have his priorities straight. He's hitting Goblin Gang twice instead of killing it all in one shot. And then that placement was perfectly able to deny it. You don't even have to go for a full Goblin Gang surround. So if you are worried about, hey, if I drop the Goblin Gang later, I might leak elixir. You can drop it in that placement, drop it earlier, not leak elixir, and then still counter the Executioner. Very well played on Kid's end. He's just going to log again, and as we're seeing, guys, same concept as 2.9 Expo. When our opponent has a phenomenal answer to us, we are really just going to be playing a lot of defense, making sure that we are taking the game slow and steady, and we're not going to rocket cycle or fireball cycle right out of the gate. So he has not rocketed. He's not doing that. Not today. He doesn't want to lose the game. He doesn't want to get outcycled by his opponent because a rocket is a 6 elixir investment. When you drop that, you're probably not going to have elixir on defense, or you're not going to have elixir to cycle back to it in the Inferno Tower, and then you could potentially lose the game or have it spiral out of control. So when you have the potential of drawing or winning the game, never let anything else go into consideration in the game. Make sure that you just win or draw, worst case scenario. You're never going to lose if you play safe like this. Kid is climbing to #1 in the world right now. He's not messing around. He's not playing any games. He's making sure that he wins every single game that he plays. He's going to go and rocket the Hog Rider back, making sure he takes no chip damage there. He's not going to be logging the tower. Doesn't even care. He wants to make sure that he denies maximum amount of damage. His towers are pristine. That is the first damage he's taken the entire game against a hard counter. He's playing absolutely ridiculous right now. He's going to go in for another Goblin Barrel here to get some more chip damage, and there's the Princess, so the game is effectively over. All he has to do is rocket. Super safe. So when you want to play log bait perfectly, make sure you look at this game and watch it over and over again. How he played was just safe and sound, playing defense over focusing on offense, and then when he was able to finish off the game, he did, but he didn't put pressure on finishing off the game. So let's move on to the next one and see how high kidkid is right now. So let's go take a quick look. So he's currently number 7. Let's see how high he can get with his next win. Well, I'm assuming it's going to be another win because I feel like he's unstoppable. He's literally won 17 games in a row at this point. All right, so we're finally into another game. This queue time at high ladder is absolutely absurd. I am so glad that we can cut out the time in between videos because you guys would have been waiting for literally 6 minutes. Not a fun time. So we see Mega Knight. Right out of the gate, unfortunately, kidkid's safe Goblin Barrel placement gets shut down immediately, and the Mega Knight's going to have a gleeful time on top of this Inferno Tower, baiting out a Ice Spirit Inferno Tower. If our opponent has a Ram Rider as well, he could wait for this Inferno Tower to expire, and then probably kidkid's going to be dropping a Rocket on it. But we're going to have to wait and see. Is it going to actually be a Ram Rider deck, or is it going to be the Wall Breakers Witch deck that everyone loves to hate right now? Probably going to be Wall Breakers Witch with Skeleton Barrel, or... No, I'm just wrong. Wow. Mega Knight Balloon. I really wasn't expecting that one at all. Unfortunately for us, we have to do a -1 elixir trade right there with a Rocket, but better than losing Tower or even taking an ounce of damage. So going to go in for a Goblin Barrel with a Goblin Gang. And oh my gosh, we see Freeze plus Zap. What are these crazy spells? Really good to play aggressive when you know that your opponent doesn't have Mega Knight in hand, especially when they probably have a Zap or a Snowball after seeing the Freeze. Usually not going to have anything other than that, or maybe even arrows for an even elixir trade against the Goblin Barrel. So worst case scenario, when you see Balloon plus Mega Knight, you're not going to usually see 2 small spells. You're going to see a flimsy small spell that doesn't immediately kill your Goblin Barrel or your Stab Goblins. So that's why he tried to support it. That's why he played more aggressive. Very rarely do you ever see Log, because if you think about it, person that runs a Balloon deck with Mega Knight, what are they going to do when they play against Minion Horde? They need something to shoot up. So that was his thought process. That's why he spent a Goblin Gang with a Goblin Barrel there. Very rarely will you ever see him do that at the highest level when he sees that the deck has a potential or a shred of likelihood of that deck having anything that could just obliterate it like a Log, right? Unfortunately, that Balloon might get a hit on the tower. Yeah, it does. Oh my gosh, dude. Witch is so crazy. Another thing that you guys can do in this deck to make it a little bit better against Witch is you can run Valkyrie instead if you guys feel like the Knight is not enough. But as you can see, if you just stack as many princesses as kidkid is doing, consistently keeping them alive, he's just getting so much value, baiting out a Freeze from his opponent. Unfortunately, the princess was damaged a little bit, and then it gets zapped, so that's something that you have to worry about. Oh my gosh, baits out a Fireball. What is this deck? We are 7 in the world right now. We are playing against Freeze, Zap, Tesla, Witch, and Fireball. I guess anything with Witch at this point is viable, but that's going to be Tower, guys. Knight takes it out. kidkid is absolutely dominating right now, making everything look like child's play, stacking princesses, keeping them alive like nobody's business, and knowing the correct times to go in. One of the things that really just made me happy this game was showing you guys, hey, you can actually apply aggression early on if you know that your opponent doesn't have Log. High likelihood of him just having Snowball and Zap, and then he made sure that he went in for Goblin Gang plus the Goblin Barrel on the right-hand side, applied a lot of aggression, baited out the Zap and the Freeze from our opponent, and then showcasing his entire hand, quite literally, knowing what all the plays were, and made him do a very negative elixir trade. So that play was the play that won kidkid the game, and he just followed up with perfect macro play after. Let's move on to the next game and see what he has in store for us. But first, I think we have to check his rank again. Where is it, man? What are you at? 4 in the world. This guy is climbing up the ladder. I feel like we're going to hit number 1 today if the queue times aren't too long. So we got another game against Monkeys. He's got Tornado. He's got Baby Dragon. If you guys know Monkeys, he's 110% got Golem. We have to know if he's going to be rocking a Golem Rocket deck, Lightning deck, or Poison deck so we can adapt and use a different strategy. So let's see what kidkid does. We want to see exactly how he's going to bait out the spell, see what his opponent's going to be playing, and safely going to be assuming that it's either to be either Poison, Lightning, or no big spell at all. Usually those are the compositions that people are going to be rocking. I mean, it could be Rocket, but you already do see 2 small spells, seeing the Barb Barrel and the Tornado, so probably going to either be a Lightning or Rocket or no spell at all now. So probably not going to be Poison. I am going to be seeing a Golem in the back. Wow, before a double elixir. That's kind of crazy because I know that kidkid can apply a lot of aggression on the left-hand side and then go in for an Inferno Tower and probably just kill the Golem. I don't see any way that Monkeys can defend this. So I assume that what Monkey's going to do, he's going to try to support this Golem super hardcore. Yeah, so that's usually why we don't see golems come down in single elixir, because you're able to go in for a knight and goblin gang on the left-hand side, and then just use an inferno tower to shut down the golem. That is 101 how to play this matchup against golems. If your opponent ever goes in for a golem, you 100% just press your opposite lane. And look at kidkid, he's going in for a princess at the river too, fearing nothing at all. So that's something that I would have done differently, and now I learned, hey, I want to go for princesses at the river to apply aggression after I've already killed that golem. I need to take that left-hand tower. So kidkid showing us how it's done. Play aggressive in this matchup at all points. When your opponent goes in for a golem, after your opponent goes in for a golem, go for princess at the river. Don't cycle to the back. Try to take that tower that you've already chipped down. Now he's going to go for a princess on the left-hand side, use a knight as well. And we're going to have to wait and see what he wants to do to obliterate this. So very high inferno tower. That inferno tower cannot get hit in conjunction with the princess and the tower. Very well played. Anti-lightning placement is able to defend this with probably like a rocket. Yep, comes down, obliterates it. Gets back to a knight to shut down the lumberjack. And monkeys, who normally destroys log bait with a barb barrel tornado lightning deck for the inferno tower. Double small spell for the goblin barrel. Got obliterated in this matchup. It wasn't even close. He made him look like it wasn't monkeys, to be honest. This guy is insanely good with golem, and I know I would have gotten stomped by him. But kidkid just makes it look like child's play again, just cruising through the high ladder right now. I feel like this guy is actually unstoppable. So we're already into another game, and I would have never expected to get a game in under 30 seconds, so I was a little bit late to it, to be honest. We see a goblin game, we see a hog rider, we see fireball. Most of the other queues have been like 5, 6, 10 minutes, and this one's just a solid 30 seconds, so I can't believe it. I was in awe. Anyway, we see a zap and fireball, and we love to see that. We're so happy. Kidkid is laughing right now. He's like, yo, easiest game of my life. I destroyed an executioner rocket double spell deck, and now you give me this crazy fireball hog rider deck. And if you guys didn't know, the main reason why it's so ridiculously easy for kidkid is he's able to go for knight and goblin barrel. And if his opponent has zap, well, the knight is going to be the primary target of the tower. Even if you zap the goblin barrel, the goblins stay alive. So if you have a tank with either a Valkyrie or a knight, you make sure you plop it down at the river, and if your opponent doesn't block it from crossing the river, then what happens is the knight's going to tank for the goblin barrel, as you're about to see right here. The knight is going to get hit, then his opponent can't kill the goblins. Look at all that damage that he's getting for free. It's absolutely ridiculous. This matchup is so easy for someone like kidkid. When he finally does get a good matchup with this deck, he is going to be absolutely unstoppable. So unfortunately for him, the bats are going to be pretty obnoxious, but yeah, it's good that he's able to separate the Mega Knight and the Hog Rider so the Inferno Tower doesn't die immediately. So that was actually okay. Despite him taking a bit of damage there, his opponent doesn't have a really good way of chipping him out. So as long as the Hog Rider doesn't break through for the rest of the game, it's kind of pretty much over. Goblin Barrel is going to come down. He drops the Goblin Gang. Just pre-log it or log it, whatever. And then, yeah, he's just able to Inferno Tower every single time on this Hog Rider. I mean, he might have to Fireball and Zap that to break through it, to be honest. Because Fireball's not going to be enough. So yeah, Princess will actually survive. What? I was going to say was going to die, but you know, she stays alive. I guess kidkid's princesses, when you're kidkid, you just get a little bit more HP on your princess. That's just like a rule of thumb. It's crazy, man. He's able to upgrade it to level 14 or something. A new hack unlocked, Kappa. So he's going to go in for another Goblin Gang, split it in the back so then his opponent doesn't get Fireball or Zap or log value. He's still going to elect a Fireball because he needs to chip it out. So kidkid knew that. He's like, yo, I'm not going to give him so much chip value on the left-hand side by dropping it on the left-hand side. But yeah, drops Inferno Tower. There's nothing that his opponent can do at this point. Drops it towards lane that his opponent will go in for a Hog Rider. If he goes in for a Hog, it's just going to get rocketed anyway. So yeah, kidkid wins this game very easily. He's actually going to PM rocket in the back. Yeah, there's nothing that he could do in this matchup. His opponent actually played it pretty well. He went in for a really nice push, bypassed, and then used bats. But kidkid getting a good matchup is not something that you can ever win. So let's move on to the next one and see how high he's at now. I feel like he's really, really high. Where is he? Oh my gosh, he's number 3 now. So he is cruising up the ranks, but he's not getting many trophies for his wins at all. So we're finally into our next game against Pokemon Trade Me Clan. That's hysterical. Anyway, he's going to be dropping Princess in the back against Night Witch, so we're immediately assuming this is either going to be a Giant Night Witch deck or probably a Golem deck after we see the Baby Dragon as well. So let's see what our opponent does. He's going to probably protect the Princess with a Knight, Ice Spirit, right? Yeah, there it is. All right, cool. So we see Electro. I don't know what this deck is anymore. Why would you ever have Electro Wizard with a Golem deck? This is funky stuff, but we see Log as well, so that's very unfortunate. That's the one card you don't want to see. And Fisherman, oh no, the Elixir Golem. This is going to be tragic. You're going to have to go and drop an Inferno Tower here, but you also need to go and kill the Electro. Okay, I was just completely wrong. Doesn't have to drop a Inferno Tower. Just cycles Goblin Gang, eviscerates everything, and then is able to get a huge surplus of Elixir from that as well. Yeah, he's up 2. He has a Knight on the field, so when kidkid has an Elixir advantage, he pressures really hard. So he's going to go in for a Princess and a Goblin Barrel on the right, and even though he aligned everything there, his opponent didn't have Elixir and didn't have the card cycle to punish him, so he wasn't able to log instantaneously. So kidkid, even though his opponent had log, finds a way to drop Princess at the river and Goblin Barrel directly on the tower. So you guys can do that against log players if you get their card cycle in a bad spot. And he was able to do that because his opponent has Elixir Golem, so definitely is able to outcycle his opponent when his opponent gives him 4 Elixir. Alright, so we're going to see a Fisherman in the back left. He's just going to cycle log. Same concept against the Executioner Tornado log player. When you can't break through, you go in for logs. That's how you're going to be able to chip out your opponent. Unfortunately, he has to cycle an Ice Spirit here and then Inferno Tower, but we don't see Lightning from our opponent, so that is good. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of spam behind that Elixir Golem, and we're going to see a Rocket come down. The Golemites from the Elixir Golem do so much damage. It is crazy how much damage they do, so that's why he's logging them back. Usually against traditional Golemites, you don't have to do that, but against the Elixir Golem, those things stack up so ridiculously fast. Having 4 of them consistently hitting your tower, that's where all the damage comes from. It's not even the supporting units behind the Elixir Golem that makes it overpowered. It's just that Golemites do so much damage. I think that if I were to nerf anything about the card, that would receive a fat nerf. It's level 12, and it still applies a ridiculous amount of pressure. Can we just talk about our opponent has a Sparky as well, and that still doesn't get a shot off on the left-hand side? I don't know how he's playing it this well, but he has somehow mitigated all damage from Sparky. He's been able to chip away on the right-hand side, and he's been able to shut down the Elixir Golem and push every single time. I've struggled so hard against this deck. Been losing against it left and right, and I haven't even been running log bait into it. Log bait with your primary win condition getting just demolished by the log and fast cycle, consistently having to rocket on top of the Sparky, and then worrying about, hey, I have to drop my Knight to stop his Fisherman and other stuff on the right, but then I don't have it for the Baby Dragon on the left. This is such a chaotic matchup right now, and I think that the Elixir Golem on the right might be able to win his opponent the game if he doesn't get Rocket back. He has 7 Elixir. I don't think he is able to drop the Rocket. He's going to play really aggressive instead. So I think that kidkid is going to try to go all in here and then just try to rocket the right-hand side if he gets a Goblin Barrel and outcycles the log. That's at least what I'm expecting right now. So he's going to try to outcycle right now. He's going to go in for a Goblin Barrel on the tower, hopefully. I don't know. No, he's going for a tower. Okay. So I thought he would try to outcycle with the Elixir advantage that he would get from the Golemites, but he's just playing it safe. He's playing it super, super safe. If these Golemites pop, then that's going to be an Elixir advantage for kidkid, but he is leaking a bit. He's going to go for a Rocket. Oh, man, this game is coming down to the wire. He needs 1 more Rocket to win this game. So he was just trying to cycle it into 2 Rocket range, I believe. He's going to get the Inferno Tower down. He's cycling the log. I think he might have it, guys. This matchup is so ridiculously tough, but he cycled the log until he was comfortable in a situation that he could actually go in for Rockets to win the game, and he rocks away with the W against a ridiculously fast cycling log deck that I think is just one of the hardest decks to play against in the entire game. Kidkid, you're an absolute animal. I don't know how you win these games. Kind of gave me a heart attack there. That was like a very close one, though. I was like, oh, man, I really don't want this win streak to come to an end here. Still number 3 in the world. We're very close to number 1, though. Let's see how far away we are. We're really killing the game. So, yeah, he is just seriously 22 trophies off from number 1 in the world. Can we do it, guys? I think we definitely can hit number 1, but it's quite the grind with the queue times being upwards of 5 minutes and getting 10 trophies for every win. All right, so we're already into another game against Pedro, so he's going to be rocking a Mortar, Dark Goblin, Skeletons, Miner, Cycle deck. What do we have here? What is kidkid going to be doing? He's going to be plopping down a Knight to shut down the Dark Goblin, going for a Goblin Gang to destroy the Miner in the back. Unfortunately, we see a very fast cycle from Pedro here with a lag OP clan, so hopefully neither of them lag, because at the highest level, if you lag at all, any misplacement, you're just going to get punished and lose the game immediately. So he's going to have to go for a Goblin Barrel on defense. He's actually going to be able to pull back the Prince and get damage on top of the Mortar. That was amazing, guys. I have never seen that, actually, from a high-level player or in a constructive manner at all. It's just like that one situation where Graveyard on defense is actually okay against Sparky and horrible in every other situation, and you're so used to bad people doing it in the wrong way that it's just this kind of a meme. Well, that Goblin Barrel placement was not a meme. It actually worked out really well, and that was amazing utilization of it. So I guess you can do it in some desperate times, but it's not something that is going to be your first choice, obviously. He just didn't have a card cycle to do anything else. So we see Skeleton cycle left. Obviously not going to do any damage. You can just ignore them. Princess in the back left. And Pedro is a top player, one of the best players in the world. So I feel like I'm saying that about everyone that we're hitting right now on ladder. They definitely have to focus up. Getting the Inferno Tower down, and his opponent does not get anything in front. Oh my gosh, that Ice Spirit prediction to kill the Dark Goblin. Disgusting. So 2 predictions in a row. Inferno Tower on the Mortar, Ice Spirit on top of the Dark Goblin, and Kid is asserting dominance, making sure that his opponent has to have log. Pedro, I thought you had a skillful deck, and then you whip out the Witch, man. Double small spell with Witch. I wonder if he was sniped here. I actually wonder if this was a snipe. It just seems too ridiculous to me to see a double small spell plus a fast cycle with Mortar. This deck doesn't really make sense, but it does make sense because there's a Witch. Everything works with Witch at this point. It's going to go in for Princess in the back left, and is going to go in for a Goblin Barrel on the left as well. So that Witch is going to be really annoying. He does not have Valkyrie to drop on it, so what is he going to do? He's going to go and log back to kill the Skeletons from the Witch, so he doesn't surround the Knight and kill it immediately. He's going to have to keep his Princess alive. He's going to drop an Ice Spirit instead, and then he's going to drop an Inferno Tower so the Mortar locks onto that. Unfortunately, that Dark Goblin is going to prove to be a menace. And fortunately for us, we're going to bait out a log from our opponent, and Dark Goblin doesn't matter at all. But the Knight has to come down on top of the Miner to shut it down. Mortar still connects. His opponent doesn't have a big spell to get chip damage. So that is one factor that is really, really cool. If kidkid finally evens up this game and gets himself into a scenario that they're at like 700 damage, Pedro, he can't finish off the game directly. He has to get a Miner and then has to chip out with Log and Snowball. You know what kidkid can do? He can go in for a Rocket, go for a Log, and the game's over. So he does have that one advantage. That's the only thing that he has going for him in this game. He's going to have to go in for some type of spell to knock back the Prince, but yeah, it doesn't look good, guys. This looks like too bad of a matchup. There isn't too much you can do here, and Pedro comes away with the W. Obviously being one of the best players in the entire world with a hard counter, probably even a snipe, and that's something that you risk playing at top ladder, like number 3 in the world. You're going to play against people that snipe you, so unfortunately here we do lose the win streak. When there is a 5-minute timer and you're consistently queuing all the time, a lot of the people on your friend list will try to snipe you and destroy you with hard counters. So we get right into this game, and kidkid opts to cycle his Knight in the back and immediately rocket the Sparky, so his opponent does not get an ounce of damage on top of that Knight. What does he have in store for us? Well, we see Bats. We see Bats plus Sparky. Gonna go in for a Goblin Barrel on the left-hand side to get some damage, and a Zap is plopped down. So we see Zap. That's a pretty good spell for us. That's actually really awesome. If our opponent doesn't have 2 spells, that's going to be a good situation for us to be in. So goes in for an Ice Spirit for some chip damage and left just to cycle. You definitely want to do that to chip away on your opponent. If your opponent has multiple spells, it's going to be hard for you to break through, and we haven't seen his entire deck list yet. So rather be safe than sorry. Just go in for Ice Spirit chip damage and try to get some damage with our log as well. So one of the things that you're seeing from top level log bait gameplay is consistently going in for Ice Spirits and logs to chip away, and Princesses at the river when we need to. We're not going for Princess at the river in every single matchup, especially when we don't know what our opponent's running. But kidkid's going to be doing that in matchups where he needs to take the tower, where he's not able to get any other damage when our opponent has log. Or when they have a Golem and you need to apply aggression, so they're not able to go for Golem in the back. Keep them at a low elixir count, right? So, Giant coming through, Bats coming through, Zap also plopped down. Doesn't break through Inferno Tower. Inferno Tower plus Ice Spirit does pretty well against anything that your opponent throws at you. If they go in for a Giant and they zap, they're never going to be able to do it. If they go in for a Hog Rider and they zap, or Fireball, they're still not going to break through it. So you can be safe with your Inferno Tower and just chill. Not overspend elixir. Don't go in for the Goblin Gang. Don't go in for the Knight. Just let the Inferno Tower do its thing. Wait for your opponent to overextend and spend more elixir, and then punish them for it on offense. Look at the Goblin Gang on the left-hand side. Got some chip damage. His opponent didn't have any answer for it. And now Princess comes down. Another positive elixir trade. 3 for 4. Very cool. Then he goes in for an Ice Spirit. Takes his positive elixir trade. Makes some value out of it. Goes in for a Rocket immediately. Has his hand on the trigger. Takes it and destroys the Sparky. So then he's able to bait out even more elixir from his opponent. If he waited any second, then you know that the Sparky would have been able to hit it. And that would have been a horrible elixir trade for us. So kidkid's going to go in for an Ice Spirit at the river. More chip damage again. Just steadily playing away this game. I assume he's going to cycle another Princess in the back. Get another 3-for-4 trade. And yeah, there's another princess is expected. So gonna go for Goblin Gang. I don't think he's got Rocket back, but he's gonna go for a Goblin Barrel. Oh my gosh, is this Goblin Barrel gonna get any damage? Does bait out a Skarmy, which isn't gonna give our opponent any value whatsoever. Just gets logged immediately for +1 elixir trade. We take that. Knight coming down. Unfortunately, there is a minion horde, so this is gonna get really dicey in a second. If this Sparky gets a connection, that would be tragic, so we're going to drop the Goblin Gang immediately on that and take some damage to the left-hand side. But as long as the Sparky dies and the game doesn't get out of control, we're chilling. When we know that our opponent has Skarmy and Cycle, going to go in for a Goblin Barrel in front of the tower and then log. You either want to do that or Princess at the bridge, and then the Princess will kill the Skarmy or the Goblin Gang. He chose to go in for a log instead there, and that's perfectly fine. Going to go in for an Ice Spirit and then go in for a Goblin Barrel as well. And he's going to be able to outcycle the Sparky counters with the Goblin Gang or the Skarmy. So then our opponent just had to fireball it. Really bad play. Well, not a bad play. He had to do it, but it was the worst play that he had to do. Like, the best of the worst, I guess you could say. And now princesses can be stockpiled at the river. And there's nothing that his opponent can really do because he's going to have to fireball the princesses at all points. We're able to log and then just outcycle. And Giant isn't going to be able to be supported because he had to drop so much elixir there. Having to fireball on offense is a huge detriment to your elixir bank. And as a result, you can't support the Giant. You can't go in for a Sparky. Always dropping the Sparky in the middle, and we don't really care. We're going to rocket it every single time, even if we're not hitting the tower. And one of the things that people would do at this point is like, hey, the tower's at 1,000 hit points. Why don't we just rocket it? That would be a really bad decision. You want to make sure that you are in complete control of the game. Opponent goes in for a minion horde Giant at the river, gets shut down by Inferno Tower and Princess as well. So this game was completely easy for kidkid, dominated it the entire way through. And that's actually where we're going to end today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this gameplay from the #1 logbait player in the entire world. Luckily, we were able to catch him live and he pushed to #3 in the world. And make sure to go check out kidkid's Twitter. It'll be down below in the description of the video. Give him some love and let him know that we appreciate him. We learned a lot today and we couldn't have done it without him. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to let me know by smashing that like button. And if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, what are you doing with your lives? Hit that sub button today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for chilling with me. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and I'll see you guys in the next video.